Hello, friends. Welcome to Afterburner. 3-1 victory for the Calgary Flames in Minnesota. It is Pinder and Warner. Rhett, it was the Wild on a Tuesday, and you're still awake. You've made it. You did it.
I can't believe it was 3-1. That empty netter. Just come on, Coleman.
I was thinking about it in the third, as both goalies I thought were really good tonight. That last year, their last game of the season series was 0-0 going into overtime. So it could be lower scoring. And then there was a goal in overtime called back to an offside review, and it took the shootout to win it, which I believe was a Tyler Toffoli win. Hey, that's a very workmanlike effort from the Calgary Flames. Their goalie was awesome tonight.
Well, and I will say that, yes, it was 2-1, 3-1 tight, but it wasn't like early 2000s.
No,
it was 2-1. There were chances, and the goaltenders were excellent.
Yeah, I thought Marc-Andre Fleury, you think of the two goals. I mean, you got a redirect right in front of him, and then a gorgeous pass that Huberdeau dances around him on a three-way passing. Like, nothing on Fleury. He's not in net for the third one. That's an empty net. And for Jacob Markstrom, I mean, he makes an incredible paddle save, only to have the puck go right to Pat Maroon. Those are the three goals tonight. The goalies weren't going to let anything go in that wasn't either incredibly lucky or just a real high skill play.
Yeah, the goals were good goals against, I guess you'll call them, but also the saves that they kept the puck out of the net were big. Like Fleury, that one toe save on
Mangiapane.
Was it Mangiapane?
Yeah, who I didn't see a ton of that New Year's Eve game, Rhett, but he looks back, and with the goal tonight snaps an 8-game drought. It's 4 points in his last 2 games with the 3 helpers on New Year's Eve. And he's right back to what he looks like when he plays with Backlund and Coleman. It's funny. One little tweak, and Jonathan Huberdeau looks energized. Andrew Mangiapane looks like the guy that, had 30-plus a couple of years ago. It is those 3 together, Coleman, Backlund, and Mangiapane. I'm all for it. Keep that together as much as you want.
Yeah, great for Mangiapane, but I guess Huberdeau struggled there so much, but it's Backlund and a Coleman that are stirring the drink.
Yeah, totally. And if that's what it takes to get Mangiapane all over the score sheet, great. It was funny because they've been piling up points, Coleman and Backlund, but Huberdeau hadn't even being on that line. It was quite odd. Like Coleman scoring much, and they're getting a lot of work done shorthanded, but still, it's Andrew Mangiapane slides in that same spot, and he is getting points, albeit a couple of game sample size. But Mangiapane the opener, and our Betway highlight of the night for Betway. Of course, bet the responsible way, 19+ Ontario only, would stand as the game winner, Rhett, as this guy. You thought an 8-game drought was long. Buckle up. How about 18? Week 1 was the 21st against Anaheim. And it was like, my goodness, you cannot be looking to pass there. You're 4 feet from the net and there's nobody nearby. But he did indeed shoot that one.
He actually looked confident in his move. Like it was, now he should look confident coming in all alone, but
the
way it's gone for him, that very easily could have stayed out of the net and we could have continued to crucify him.
And you know what? It's he does look like scoring goals is fun, winning's fun, all that stuff, but that's a more dangerous player we've seen in the last couple of games than December was just awful.
It was awful. The problem, I don't like to get too far ahead with him though, because there was a little stint a month and a half, 2 months ago, where it was like, oh, he's found his game here, and then silence. So he's going to have to continue to put a few points on the board for me to get behind him.
Yeah, and I do like the fit there. I know we mentioned it on the main show a couple of weeks ago. Would you swap Mangiapane and Huberdeau? And it's like, well, it hasn't really worked at Lindholm, but it's also not really working with Backlund and Coleman, even when they're playing well. And Mangiapane's sort of been lost along the way. I mean, I like that trio together. Sharon Govich has been really good. I liked his game a lot tonight, and you're starting to notice Lindholm positively a lot more.
Yeah, that's one thing that I think that we maybe are underestimating lately is that Lindholm is finally showing up in, on the score sheet and making and being more noticeable.
So your Betway highlight of the night is the Huberdeau goal. It is his 5th, which is not a lot. Interestingly, there's a few players in the league that have stuck at weirdly low numbers. I think Kachuk was around 5 at Christmas. I don't know that he's pulled ahead. That's a weird one. But either way, it's not a huge number, but it's a guy that looked a little better the last couple of games in a new line, in a new role on a new line. So that your highlight of the night. Now, are you prepping your football picks for Friday already? I know you big Bills Dolphins games. That's going to be on your Betway card Friday, isn't it?
Got that one picked already. Probably
Dallas. Are they playing for anything? Or are they wrapped up?
I don't like. I actually don't know if Dallas is playing for anything.
I'm not sure if they've got Philly, if that's clinched or not yet. But if that game matters, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, stay tuned for Rhett's picks on Friday. It's his only day where he gives away free picks, and that's our football picks on Friday for Betway. Like that. Okay, so this was not a full even strength or full assortment of Minnesota Wild players. I did a little math here. This is a little crazy. Not playing tonight: Zuccarello, Kaprizov, Marcus Foligno, Jonas Brodin, Gustafsson. That's $28 million they're missing there, but they're also spending about 15 on Suter and Parise to not be there. So my very, very rough math has more than half the cap, more than half of their $83.5 million was spent on players who did not touch the ice tonight. I think this is a deep team. I like what they've done in terms of managing to be competitive despite burning 14, 15 million a year on those two buyouts. But that was not a full staff of Wild players tonight.
Now, it wasn't, and isn't it amazing to think that they're swallowing that much a year?
Yeah.
And still competitive and good. Like, we get frustrated with our team, the Flames, and how they're not having as much success as we'd like. If you were chewing on 15 schmel, you would have a reason not to be good.
And it does tie into where the Flames are at, because I hear a lot of people talking about the Huberdeau contract, and it's not a good one. I mean, even if Jonathan Huberdeau returns to point per game player, and that seems so far-fetched at this point, that's still not a great deal. It's full of bonuses. He's year 1 of 8. He's already, he's not young. But the Minnesota Wild have put up 216 points, 113 and 103 the last 2 years, while burning 12 to 15 million, because the buyout hits are different every year because of bonus structure. You can do it. You can survive. You can't survive 2, 3, 4 of those bad contracts, but I would suggest almost every NHL team has about, $10 to $12 million where you're like, that's not money well spent.
Wow. And you're right. That's true. Because there's always guys that it might not be as focal as a guy like Huberdeau.
Right.
That's top
play. All on one deal.
Yeah.
Teams overcome $10 million spent poorly. They do.
Yeah. Yes, they do. And they got guys that just aren't performing the way they're supposed to, and they still got to pay them, and they're still in the lineup. So it can happen, and does happen, I guess.
Yeah, totally. Like I mean, look at Vancouver, what they were paying Myers and Oliver Ekman-Larsson last year. You look at Edmonton's going to be spending $5 million on a goalie to be in the minors this year. They're spending another 2 and change on a James Neal buyout. They got all these teams have bad money everywhere. There's not a lot of teams that don't have some bad money somewhere. And
it would actually
hopefully that's some hope for Flames fans when they see the Wild competitive despite that.
Yeah, it would be interesting to go through some lineups and just see how much, I was going to say useless, but
bad money.
But bad money there are on each team. Like how many teams out there aren't chewing on some bad contract?
I don't know that there'd be more than a couple. And it would probably be really, really smart teams like Carolina and Colorado that, you see in the Final Four a lot of years if they're teams that don't have $10 million of bad money. But that's kind of a tangent. And I think just seeing the Wild tonight, it was an opportunity to talk about you can survive some bad money. You just don't want to collect too many of them, which is why I think you all summer have been talking about careful on the extensions here.
And I think probably too, our fear was that Kadri's money was going to be bad.
Right. And then it's 17, not 10.5 million.
Yeah. Right. And he's playing just fine. Fine.
He's been really good. I thought that line wasn't as good tonight, but it's been their best line for 6 to 8 weeks at least.
100%. That line has been solid. And Kadri's, after the first 10 games, I think he's been the Kadri you wanted.
Yeah, this is the guy you signed, right?
You're not gonna play perfect 82 out of 82, but he has been very effective with those kids.
Much better than I'd expected. Someone's in the comments saying
You're not worried about the 7.5 that he's making right now at all.
Yeah, 7 even. No, it's fine. Whatever. I mean, that's what he's worth. I don't know that he's going to be worth it in 5 years, but that's what he is, right? Like that's a second line center on a cup winner. That's what he looked like when he played in Colorado. We didn't see that guy last spring, and however we got here, tip of the cap to Nazem Kadri. It wasn't easy. You probably see the city turning on you a bit at the end of last season. He's a chip on his shoulder guy, but he just said, "Look, I played in Toronto. This is no big deal. I'll be better." And after a rough 10-game start to the year with the whole team was bad, he really has been better. I give him credit.
I still don't know what they did, because there's no way that there was a point in time where this team went from
flipped a switch.
Yes, like they were embarrassingly.
It was the outdoor game, and I don't know what happened to your point, but it was like they came out dressed like Cotton Eye Joe, and they didn't play well against a bad Edmonton team at that point, if we remember correctly. And it was just like, man, like this is really rough. And I think they were 2-7-1 to start the year. But since then, it's been only a couple nights where they haven't had really good efforts, Rhett. And that's what was so worrying about the first 10.
Exactly. And that's what I was just I was going to interrupt you with, it wasn't even the results of the 2-7. It was the fact that they weren't showing up and competing.
Yeah.
After being criticized all last spring. Like of not being into games and giving it and change all this shit, and then showing up to start the year not competing. We were all a little bit frustrated, to say the least.
Yeah, well, and it was like they were third from the bottom, and you're thinking, my God, like you get top 5 pick here, like you got to change the plans here. Stop talking extension with these guys. And I still think the truth is in the middle. They're not as good as I think we've seen them since that outdoor game, and they're certainly not as bad as they were up to that point. And, it's a run of teams that are, I guess, in a similar spot to the Flames on this road trip. Like Nashville's a team that I think's on the bubble. Philly's a team that I think has a lot of similarities to Calgary. They got to figure out what to do with some free agents. They're a bubble team. They're in right now, but I don't know that it lasts with teams like Tampa and Carolina on the outside looking in. And then Chicago, it's like, yeah, you're better than Chicago, especially when they don't have Hall and they don't have, Corey Perry. And I think Beauvillier got hurt tonight, if I saw an alert properly. Like it's just, this is a very winnable road trip, and this was where last year they wouldn't show up to some of these games. They wouldn't work, but I give this coaching staff a ton of credit. They've worked their tails off almost every night.
Yeah, you think back, other than the start of the year, the effort's been there. They've bought into it, and again, to start this rant we're on, I don't know what was said or done to
turn it.
To rectify the situation, because it was bleak, it was gross, like it was bad hockey to watch, and now they're playing hard every night. We might not win every night, but at least competing.
Well, and you don't want to just give credit to one thing, and maybe it's a lot of different things. But God, when Zary and Pospisil got put on Kadri's line, it just felt like everything changed. Certainly for Kadri, but then it was like shit. Some of these kids can play. And at the 10-game mark, you're like, man, Daryl's not the problem at all. Daryl's got to be vindicated. And then at the 20-game mark, you're like, some of these kids could have played for Daryl. And it's like,
Daryl would have used it, he'd still be coaching.
The argument, right?
Yeah, there's always. I think we've talked about it before, but was Zary not, or Zary?
Yeah.
What is it?
Zary.
Was Zary not part of the COVID draft class?
Yeah, they had a weird year where the WHL started and stopped and started again, but he got to play some AHL games when they started. Interesting.
But my point being, when the world was in shambles, like there's lots of people that have talked about it, that maybe that draft class plays out differently if it's normal time, right?
Yeah. No, you're right. Because I think he was in Kamloops, or I believe he's from Kamloops. And it was the draft where everyone had the cameras on the couch and everyone stood up and hugged each other. And it was just like crotch shots all day of moms and dads. It was awful. Just the televised at-home draft, right? So he was that draft. And I look at a guy like, all that hype around Shane Wright, and he never played a game in his draft year. Like, how insane is that? And he was supposed to be a consensus one guy. The O never played, and he kept waiting. They're like, no, we're going to play. He keeps waiting on the OHL. They never played. Like, as if that guy's career trajectory is going to look like other draft classes. Not playing your 17-year-old season is insane.
It's huge. I mean, even I dropped him that draft year. My draft year. It's stunning to hear, but that year is ultra important. Those
Yes.
kids should be playing. And I think maybe if they had that, Zary.
Yeah. You're doing it. Yeah.
I'm going to say it wrong all the time.
You're doing great.
Would maybe it be a higher pick, or could have slotted it somewhere else? I don't know.
And again, he's a first rounder, and they traded back twice to get him. So they had him in a box with, they thought he was probably a top 20 guy on planet Earth that year. And he's, it's taken a while, and there's a couple serious injuries right out of that draft as well. But we showed it the other day on Afterburner. I got caught with my foot in my mouth. I'm like, he's a rookie. He's not good defensively. And people in the comments are like, no. And so I went and did some digging. He's a really, really, really good defender. And I know he's playing with a veteran like Kadri, but that line, I think they've only been scored on once all year since they were put together. And they've got like 8 forward even strength. It's
what?
Remarkable. They've been
once?
At even strength, it's 8-1. I saw it today before tonight's game.
That's crazy.
And so it's like, they're not only getting the line share of chances and out shooting opponents and spending a lot of time on the other end, they're just not getting scored on.
I just love how he hangs on to pucks and looks comfortable doing it and sees the ice and makes the right pass. Like he looks like he's under control, and he's got a play up his sleeve all the time.
He has poise and creativity.
Yes.
And I don't know that there's a lot of players that have both of those on this team.
Nope.
Like, I think Backlund and Coleman and Lindholm have poise, but I don't see the creativity with that. And I think they don't have a lot of creativity to begin with, but that's a really nice collection of things to have, right?
That sounds like a high-end skill set.
That sounds like a guy that gets drafted in the first round that you could build around. That sounds like a core piece, and that's exciting for this team. Although that being said, not a great night for that line, but we're talking big picture here, and it's been a really lumpy year. It's been a lot of bad, a lot of good, a chunk of bad. It's 2 wins in a row again now. They're chugging along. It's
stupid.
It's tough to make sense of this team. And Markstrom's been great. Yeah. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We have hungry for more. The road ahead. A lot of road games, Rhett. A lot of travel, radiation, constipation, condensation, deliberation, all that stuff. You got to worry about that on the road. I missed one.
Get your blue lights.
Get your blue lights out. Road ahead's a tricky one, and we will talk about Jacob Markstrom, who again doesn't look like last year's Markstrom, which is a good thing. I promise you. It's Afterburner here on Flames Nation.
Greta, it's our home away from home for Afterburner. We'll be there for live watch parties throughout the season. Should be your spot regardless. Before, during, and after the game, grab a cocktail, something from the menu, let the games begin, or maybe you get into the game yourself. Over 50 arcade games from vintage to state-of-the-art. Load up some credits on that Greta game card of yours and get at it. Greta Calgary, located at 213 10th Avenue Southwest. Check them out online, gretabar.com. Wendy's is letting you win real food with your fantasy teams this year with the Wendy's Daily Face-Off Survivor Pool. For those of you who smoked the competition, Wendy's is rewarding you with weekly prizes that'll have you winning despite your lack of team-building skills. Sign up to play the Daily Face-Off Survivor Pool to win weekly prizes like the spicy chicken sandwich from Wendy's and the Wendy's app.
It's hockey season. Get ready to cheer on your favorite teams with us at the Stage Bar at the Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. Enjoy the game on one of their huge, large screens with friends, drinks, and delicious food. Let's go. Visit greyeagleresortandcasino.ca for more information. How about this information? Happy hour. Doesn't get much happier than this. 3 hours of happy hour. Let's make the most of the day and your afternoons with great drinks and food. Join us at the Stage Bar and Blaze Bar and Grill for the new happy hour. Every day, 2 till 5. Great food, specialty drinks, all starting at $5. Visit greyeagleresortandcasino.ca for more information. BK Beaufort Liquor is a proud sponsor of Afterburner. In fact, our very first sponsor ever, right back to our first Afterburner ever. Big thank you to Mandeep, Manjeet, and Jazz. Huge Flames fans, a heck of a family. Good-looking cashier, Mandeep, as well. Find them right across from Winsport on the Trans-Canada Highway. Whether you're grabbing some beer for your place in town or you're heading to the mountains, make sure you stop in, say hello. Whether it's a specialty wine, liquor, 6-pack of beer, whatever it is, check it out and grab it at BK Beaufort Liquor. We are back on Afterburner. The Calgary Flames victorious in Minnesota. They've opened this 4-game road trip with a victory in Minnesota. Let's get right to what lies ahead for the club. It is the road ahead for Village Honda, whether it's a new car or a pre-owned vehicle. Head to Village Honda up in the Northwest Auto Mall or go to villagehonda.com to start your automotive adventure. New vehicle pricing, MSRP, and access to over 400 units of pre-owned vehicles within their dealer group. Happy New Year from our good friends at Village Honda. Rhett, it looks like this. That was the start of the trip. A W for the fellas in St. Paul. Probably got some, pickerel in them.
Pickerel.
Is that right?
Yep.
Pickerel.
St. Pauli Grill or whatever it's called.
So if you had to say if St. Paul's where we get our rest and we catch up on Netflix and we get some sleep and we have some soul food, the next stop is going to be a little different. They've got Nashville, Rhett, which is the not a lot of sleep stop on the schedule.
Now we find out if they can play guilty.
That's right. They'll be getting in tonight, late into Nashville. Thursday, they play the Preds. Then it's back-to-back matinees on the weekend. Philly, 11 a.m. Calgary time on Saturday. Sunday in Chicago, the first viewing of Connor Bedard for the Calgary Flames. That's the end of the road trip, but they're not really done with the road because they come home just to play one. Ottawa Senators, Jacques Martin, Steve Staios, new facelift on that team under the new owner, Michael Andelauer. They're visiting for one, and then the Calgary Flames are back out on the road. We'll be there in Phoenix on the 11th, a Thursday game against the Coyotes, who have been quite good. And then they'll wrap a heavy road segment with a Saturday night in Vegas. Rhett, it's 6 games out of 7 on the road. That's a lot of travel for this group.
I realize we're supposed to fly home on Saturday, but maybe we could just rent a car and
how are we feeling by Saturday? That is a good
Boomer's
question.
road trip.
There's got to be cheap flights. That drive apparently is not as short as people think. Like, oh, it's the desert. It's the desert. It's not as short.
It's not short. I've done it, but you can flight. Lots of flights. Flights are easy. Maybe we'll fly.
Cheap flights. You are now free to move about the country. That's what they say down there. Can't wait for that. And you're coming. This is confirmed, correct?
Yes.
Margarita, and you nailed it. It's got to be chips, salsa.
Chips and salsa, guac, and margaritas all day.
Can't wait. I also saw, not far from the Top Golf, Tiger Woods has launched a mini golf 36-hole thing that looks like tons of fun and serves, if you're thirsty, beverages, which in the desert, it gets hot, I guess. So,
it does. You got to hydrate.
So keep an eye out for us on that. We won't be doing Afterburner that night, Rats. And again, they wrap that road swing in Vegas. 6 of 7 on the road. And I would think, Vegas is really good for sure. Chicago's not very good. The rest of these teams, kind of similar territory to the Calgary Flames.
Is Philly good?
I think they're similar to the Flames. I think they probably sell Sean Walker at the deadline. I think, they're probably better than they looked on New Year's Eve. I'll say that. They're getting thumped by Edmonton and Edmonton right now. But I just feel like if you're going to bet on them, Tampa or Carolina to get a playoff spot, I'm not betting on Philly, right?
No. It's a
Jersey.
good point. No.
Yeah. So I think they've been pressed under Tortorella, but the expectations were like they might be last in the East.
Yeah, they were bingo ball for sure.
Totally. That is the road ahead for Village Honda. A reminder, your automotive adventures can all start at villagehonda.com or in the Northwest Auto Mall. Definitely worth the trip, whether it's pre-owned or new vehicles. Markstrom has been awesome. And we talked about it on the show today. This is going to muddy the water for Craig Conroy. If they have just pull any Dan Vladar start of the year tonight, and he started the last 2 against Minnesota, they probably don't win this game. I think Vladar's had 2 very, very good games, and the rest have been meh. Markstrom gets some 2 points tonight, Rad. This gets them 2 points closer to the wild card and 2 points further away from the bingo balls.
It's the same old thing, right? Until you know what the return for a guy is, then you shouldn't be talking about trading him. The reason I don't think here in Buffalo, they got that Levi kid.
Yep.
And they got no one.
Yeah, they just sent Comrie on waivers. And
it's a terrible setup for the kid. And so even if your belief is that Wolf is your guy, having Markstrom there as for a year or 2 is huge.
Yeah, I agree.
Or can be considered huge, right? Because I've criticized the Oilers for not having guys around for those young kids to learn from.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing for Wolf. And not that, I mean, I don't know what Markstrom and Wolf's relationship or this or that, but there's something to be said about having a legit number one like Markstrom and having a young kid like Wolf under his wings, or whatever that term you want to use, and taking the heat off him. Because if you throw Wolf in there, he might be Patrick Waugh taking the Stanley Cup Finals. He absolutely might. But it's more likely that he's going to play better if there's a guy that's kind of to learn from.
Yeah.
Like, right. So,
well, and Markstrom took forever. Like he was not dissimilar to Wolf in the sense that he was best goalie outside the NHL, top AHL goalie, like high end prospect, but he was a high draft pick, not a late one. And it's still, he went on waivers in Vancouver and I think went to Utica. And like, I saw him playing in San Antonio, the Florida farm team. And it was like, he got outdueled by Eddie Lack at a playoff series. And people are like, he's never going to make it. And it's like, you'd learn a lot from sitting down the bench from that guy or having a stall next to him. Cause it wasn't just like, you're this, you're that, you're in. Like it was a bumpy road for Markstrom to become the guy that we've seen get Vezina votes pretty regularly.
Yeah. And so we sit here, I think a lot, and my opinion on a team hasn't changed. I still think that you should be going young and trying to, I don't think locking guys in for long-term is the answer. They've certainly played better, so maybe you could argue it a little bit more. But I think moving guys, which then you go, okay, well, move Markstrom. He'd be a huge asset. But he would be a big asset. And depending on the return, you might have to do it. But there is a point to be made about having Wolf have a guy like that to play with.
I agree.
Beside, whatever you want to call it.
If it's Vladar and Wolf, you just might have a month where nobody's playing well. And then there's a lot of pressure. And, it's nicer to, as you said earlier, come in and, be taken under the wing of the veteran. And I think of Rinne and Saros. And Saros is a smaller goalie that was always very, very good numbers. But it was a long passing of the torch from Rinne to Saros. And both guys that, have got Vezina votes and been excellent, but I think that was important.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that approach. You signed Markstrom. He's performing up to the standard you'd want him to. You don't. Again, I'm not against trading him, but and I said it this afternoon, you can trade him in 2 years.
Yeah. He's got this year plus 2 more. So in theory, there's 3 deadlines left in his career on this contract. And I would like to know more about what they chalked last year up to. So if they said last year everything off the ice was nuts, his wife was pregnant with their first kid, off the ice it was no good. Maybe there was some other friction elsewhere,
whatever
you can chalk it up to. But if they can make sense of that, I love the body of work. What you don't want to see is one of those seasons crop up again. So if you know it'll never be that bad again, I'm certainly fine with saying, hey, we got a really high ask of this guy because we can sell him at next year's deadline. We'll know more about Dustin Wolf by then, and maybe it is time to pass the torch. But we don't need to do anything now. But I would be weary of, man, you had a chance to move this guy when he was worse. But they'll know more than we do. And they'll know whether there's a great fear of last year's season happening again.
Wow.
It's a long-winded way of saying that the goalie people know the goalies.
Yeah. And the only other point to bring up with Markstrom is if he's here and you decide to keep him, even wait it out, the bastard's costed you draft spots.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's literally hurting your chances at a higher draft pick.
We had it on the show today. I think he was a 2.02 and a 931 in his last 5. Well, those numbers get better after tonight. So he's won 4 of his last 6. Your goals against drops under 2 probably, and you're probably now at a 935. Like that's a really tidy run from a guy that couldn't get a save last year at this time. It was bad. Okay. Hungry for more. We'll go to that. It is for DoorDash. Here's the deal with DoorDash. Kids are back to school. We're out of the Christmas chaos. Maybe you're finally just you and your family at home. Deep breath. Let someone else do the cooking. Maybe that's move. Or maybe it's, hey, we got to clean up after that disaster. We need some cleaning supplies. It's not just restaurants. It could be groceries. It can be a pharmacy. It could be flower stores. It's all there with DoorDash. Download the app. And here's the deal. If you're a pal, a barn burner, or afterburner, enter promo code NATION25 and you'll be getting 25% off your first order of over $15 and free delivery. That's Nation25 for 25% off your first order. Rhett, anything you're hungry for more of? I talked about it in the first segment. I want to see these lines static. I like Huberdeau up top, and I love seeing Mangiapane back with his old pals, the running mates in Coleman and Backlund.
It's sad, but I'm going to say I'm hungry for more of Vladar. I think I've said it before.
Okay.
Because I don't want the Flames to continue to get points in the playoffs.
Well, they got back-to-back this weekend, so let's play the game. Let's play the game. They're Thursday. They're in Nashville. You going back to Markstrom after tonight?
Here's the problem. Honestly, this is the problem I have is that I think they'll go to Markstrom. He's playing too good. And I think from a professional sports franchise point of view, you have to try to win every game and try to make the playoffs.
The coaches who pick the goalies are trying to win. Yeah.
They're trying to win. So, yes, I think it's Markstrom there. And I would play with Vladar in Chicago.
Yeah, it's a split of the weekend, I'd imagine. You got two matinees and weird body.
Or I'd leave it up to Markstrom. I might say whatever you choose.
Pick one.
Because it's not like you're getting in late to Chicago on Saturday, right? No. So you're not, if Markstrom doesn't play Saturday, it's not like he's being going to have a lot of fatigue from the flight and getting in late for the Sunday afternoon in Chicago.
Yeah, and you can see why it is hard to get Vladar in. If you're going to just say, okay, well, back-to-backs, we obviously split, but elsewhere I have package A or package B. I mean, we know who's playing better right now.
Yeah, and I get like we just said, like we said, the coaches and the management they're preaching win.
Yeah. Well, and look, I think the GM has to have the big picture thing going on. The coach's job is to win. That's his job. The coach isn't to think about, I might be able to get a pick in 2026 in this round. No. I might not be employed. I'm a coach. I got to go win. I need my best goalie. So we'll see what they do Thursday in Nashville. Loved AJ Greer tonight. Saw a lot of him. Had a couple chances late, but a lot of chances early. I think he had 4 shot attempts in the first 12 minutes of the game or something like that. He was all over the place. Thought Sharon Govich had some jump. And I thought of you when I saw the defense on those late penalty kills in the third period. Kadri went off for holding. Coleman went off for hooking. Diving in front of shots. Never crazy to see Chris Tanev doing that, but some of that's rubbing off on Rasmus Anderson, who I thought had a huge block there.
Coming around a little bit. You got to block shots. You want to pay a price to win the game. Get in front of it.
And it's they don't look uncomfortable in a 1-goal lead. Some of these teams we've watched in the past, they got to get another. This isn't going to hold up. But the way Markstrom's going and the way that penalty kill's going, there just isn't a lot of nerves when they're up 1.
It doesn't seem that way at all. And I think you got to think that it's not all but Markstrom's having a big influence on that.
Yeah.
Like when a goalie's playing that well, the team picks up on their confidence. They're not squeezing sticks as much in the defensive zone, scrambling around. It's a nice feeling to have to know that guy's playing that well behind you.
Yeah. Okay. So hungry for more. I want to keep the lines together. You want to see Vladar get in there. Not a ton to complain about. It's been a pretty solid run here.
I wouldn't mind seeing more Greer either.
Yeah, they give him that one game up top, but that was definitely one game. He's not a top liner.
We'll maybe talk about this tomorrow, but is that a guy that – because I think he was drafted, second round? And
look it up.
Then he almost had to muck around a bit to find a role and maybe was willing to do it, so did get a role. But perhaps he's a little bit better because he's doing a lot of good things out there.
I really liked him, and he's cheap as chips. They got him for free. The question for me is it like, hey, this is found money. Let's flip him for a third or a fourth or whatever it is, because I think that's a great guy to add to a contender. Your teams are going to lose guys to injury. That's a perfect 12th, 13th forward on a cup contender in my mind. Kills penalties, tough, physical. But you also, as you said earlier,
also cheap as chips, and if he can play and you can keep him and he doesn't cost you anything, he does a lot of good things for your team.
And to your point, if you're going to be bringing in a Klapka and a Poirier, and you're going to call up, Coronado, and Pelche's going to be back in here, there are going to have to be some veterans to show them the way. And I don't know that there's a guy that you would consider more of a consummate pro hard worker than a guy like Greer, who's had to, earn every minute he gets on the ice. Conroy's got a few of those decisions to balance out as well.
Again, a lot of it probably we'll never know because we won't know the trade offers. So, but that's what it would be based on for me.
Second round, Colorado. There you go, 2015. 6'3", 210, and no, that's been a hell of a find for Craig Conroy. And honestly, I don't know that anyone knew a lot about AJ Greer before he got here. Neither Yegor Sharangovich. I think you're starting to see where Craig Conroy's real expertise lies. He's done a ton of scouting and has been at all these tournaments. And I don't know that it's the cap or the CBA interpretation, but talent evaluation. So good couple finds. Two guys that stood out tonight for me. That was Hungry for More for DoorDash. Nation25 is your promo code. Free delivery and 25% off your first order on DoorDash with the promo code Nation25. We'll take a break. We come back with comments and questions after a 3-1 victory to the Calgary Flames. They open a 4-game roadie with a victory in Minnesota. Goal scorers, Mangiapane, Huberdeau, and Blake Coleman quietly putting together what looks like a career year for the two-time Cup winner. More conversation when we come back on Afterburner. Derek Newman of Newman Deems Real Estate Group with CIR Realty are proud sponsors of Afterburner. Born and raised in Calgary, Derek not only loves talking sports, golfing, but he's an avid sports fan. He's happy to talk sports or real estate with you. Complimentary in-house staging consultations, finding homes not on the market. If you're buying for the first time or a seasoned seller of homes, chat with Derek and he'll help you achieve your goals. If you're interested in buying or selling in the greater Calgary area, call Derek or text him at 403-619-6661 and let Derek put his network to work for you. That's Derek Newman for Newman Deans Real Estate Group with CIR Realty.
Coming up in January, we'd love you to be there with us. We are going to Phoenix the 11th to 13th of January. It is the barn burner vacation to see the Flames take on the Coyotes. We got your hotels, we got your flights, we got your game tickets. Go to nationgear.ca to book yourself a spot. $14.99 based on double occupancy. You can book your spot now at nationgear.ca. That's the website. You'll find a link on the top. Avoid all the Oilers stuff. It's there, but just pretend it doesn't. nationgear.ca and then book your spot in. They are moving. There's a limited quantity, obviously, but it's going to be a great time. Whether they're winning or losing, who cares? It's Phoenix in January. Go watch some hockey, hang out, have a heck of a time. nationgear.ca, once again, to book yourself in for that. And it's brought to you by Alberta Blue Cross. Memorable moments with Alberta Blue Cross. It's about cherishing past moments and making new ones. Alberta Blue Cross Travel Insurance helps you protect your memories and more. Wherever travel takes you, visit ab.bluecross.ca/travel for more information. Alberta Blue Cross, celebrating life's memorable moments inspired by hockey.
We are back. It is Afterburner. The Calgary Flames victorious, a 3-1 victory over the Minnesota Wild, who beat them twice in that gauntlet run. One of their only really crappy efforts in the last couple months was a 5-2 loss in early December against this Minnesota team. They're missing a lot of bodies, but the Flames, they don't get to pick who's healthy and who's not. They go play. Earned 2 points tonight. Markstrom was excellent. We talked about Greer and Sharangovich. Also wanted to mention Blake Coleman's been awesome. Not tonight, all year, Rhett. And when he came in as a free agent signing, it was like, boy, that's an expensive third liner. And I remember Treliving saying in the press conference, his minutes weren't third line minutes. There was really important usage, won a couple cups. You can see why this guy's a winner, the way he plays, right?
He just plays. He goes and does it right. Yeah. You don't question his compete. You don't question his work ethic. You don't question his character.
14 goals.
Is he an asset?
I mean, he absolutely is a player that makes contending teams better. Is he worth much with the term left on that contract? Might be the better question. I mean, we're seeing teams having a really tough time fitting $1, $2, $3 million players in under the cap. But yeah, not unlike the Nazem Kadri chat that we had a few weeks ago. It's like these guys would be upgrades on competitive teams to players that are already there. So if you can make the cap work, You can only retain on 3 contracts, and they may be very busy. I mean, we're into that. Boy, there's a lot of boxes to check to get a deal done, right?
There's a lot of boxes to check. And part of the problem, again, is that he's the kind of character you want in your dressing room.
Totally.
Like, it's great to say, oh, we can flip him out and get a good asset in return. Okay, but is it the kind of people you want? You know what I mean? Like a draft pick doesn't mean anything. You just don't know if it's going to turn out.
Yeah.
And you got to have guys in your room that you believe in as well. And I think he's that guy.
I think we talked about it ages ago, and you mentioned it already. Like when Taylor Hall and Connor McDavid came in, like who were the vets showing them the right way to play? Like I love that they've got this line with Backlund and Coleman where anyone who's having a tough go, just slide them on that line. Yeah. It's like they're bubble wrapped. Everything's fine.
Yeah, we'll take care of this. Don't worry. You come on out here and have some fun and play hockey.
I don't know how many years it's going to be like that, but I mean, both of these guys are tracking for career type stuff. Like it's impressive. Michael Backlund at 35, flirting with 20 goal pace. Coleman's got 14. That's 30 goal plus pace. Did not see that coming.
No, I didn't either. So, I'm happy for him though.
Yeah, and you know what?
Something going his way.
Seems like a popular guy too. I mean, if he's married to Dallas Cowboys cheerleader, he's got to be top caliber. Right. Only the best for the Cowboys.
That could be trouble, actually.
This segment is brought to you by Charm Diamond Centers. Did you know that Charm Diamond Centers has over 85 locations across Canada and are proudly Canadian owned and operated since 1972? That's Charm and their other brands. Also, you can get custom ring building delivered in less than 4 weeks with their Charm Masterpiece program. It's an unbeatable pricing policy they've got as well. And the holidays, okay, a lot of proposals in there. We were just out in the Columbia Valley, Rhett, met a young couple. Guess when the proposal was? New Year's Eve. Isn't that adorable? Mm-hmm. So you've seen some people doing it. Okay, they look happy. Maybe I should get into this thing. Okay, not going to tell you what to do, but if you're going to do it, perfect time to do it. Whether it's Canadian lab-grown diamonds, mine diamonds, they've got a large selection of both. And also, you don't need to pay until 2025 with their instant in-store financing OAC. For more information, go to charmdiamondcenters.com.
All right, gang, listen up. It's time to learn the pro pose. Coach?
Bend and snap.
Beautiful form. Nice arm extension. Facial expression. I could use some work. All right, let's see it. The pro pose. What's that guy doing?
I think that's the bend and snap.
That's a whole different deal. Charm, home of the pro pose. Oh!
There it is, right? Now, what time of year did you propose? Do you remember? Was it summer? Was it winter?
June.
Yeah. All right. It's worked out great for you.
Oh, it's just heavenly. It's been just magic. Just magic.
Now, so you were going to come back to Calgary for the holidays for a bit. That got changed. Did you stay in Buffalo? Did you get back to Saskatoon? I've heard like 6 plans of what you were doing.
No,
Toronto,
we didn't go anywhere. We had the sickness come through the house.
The sickness was in Buffalo. Okay.
The sickness was no bueno.
Because our boy over at Greta, Casey, has sent me a stack of game cards at Greta. You know, you got a
Gold Max
credits where you go, Golden Tee, NBA Jam, Mario Kart, Pong, Buck Hunter, whatever it is. I got the cards. So
you could do it. You
let me know when you're back. I'll save a couple cards, not all of them, couple. We'll take Jack. We'll go have a time. Deal?
Jack attack.
Get some Jack out there. If Jack's allowed back in there.
Now, I was just going to say, is Jack kind of burned the bridge there?
You know what? It's not Jack. It's the company he keeps. He's guilty by association, and I think Casey and the good people at Greta will look right past that. Okay. Not a problem at all.
You fooled me once.
Old school games, new school games, live music. Also a great place to catch a game, pre or post. You know, when the Flames win in overtime, they got a deal for you as well. Last year, they're giving away, I think, $1 million in game credits. This year, the Nugs. We'll see you at Greta post game. How's that sound? Good. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let's get to some comments and questions. We do that at the end of every Afterburner. Our fine producer, Jack, is patrolling the comments, sifting through all the sewage to come up with a few gems. This is not a man named that. It's someone else who thinks he's funny saying, "What's wrong with Dubé?" Rhett, is anything wrong with Dylan Dubé?
Well, Mike, we discussed this a while back.
Michael Hunter.
I think he just needs a change of scenery. It's time to go.
I agree, and I think it's not easily done either.
I don't either. I think
when you're playing like a 12th forward, nobody wants to pay you 2.3.
Nope.
And again, if you're going to be making a Lindholm deal or a Hannafin deal or a Tanev deal or a Markstrom deal or a Vladar deal, you can only retain salary on 3 contracts at a time.
You're not doing
and like, what are you going to get? A 5th? Like, it's
wow. That's you're doing it for the kid.
Totally. And it's even to do it, it's like you got to bend over backwards and eat money to make it happen, I think.
Yeah. And then it turns into, well, we might as well keep him because if someone gets hurt, we'd rather have. It's a tough situation. He's lost his mojo.
Yeah, he has big time. And making matters worse is he's an RFA with arb rights. So you're going to have to qualify him at 2.3. He's not worth that right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too.
And so it might be a like, hey, we like you. We know it was a tough year. We're not qualifying you. Can we work on a 1-year deal at like 1.5?
Well,
like,
if he doesn't play better, he might be happy to take a 1-year deal.
And here's the thing, like there isn't a roster pinch yet. Wait till Pelche's healthy and back and ready, and Coronado's
coming up.
I mean, then it's really going to get tough.
It is, and it goes in. That's exactly what happens with the kids. Is all of a sudden they're not kids, and there's younger kids playing better, knocking on the door, saying, "I'll take that spot."
Yeah,
and that's Dubé right now.
It does not look like a guy that scored 36 goals the last 2 years. Because that's the thing. It's not like he didn't pan out. It's just it seems lost right now.
He's lost right now. Yeah.
Yeah. This from David, we think. Is it time to cut bait with Ruzicka and open a spot for Pelche and Coronado? Well, Pelche doesn't need a spot yet. He's hurt still. And I think they're going to give him a good long run at the American League because he's coming off significant injury and he hasn't played since camp. Coronado's a different story. If there's a spot in the top 9, Rhett, sure, but that's not where Ruzicka is. Like, if you think Coronado's a 4th-line center, then make the switch. But I don't want Coronado playing 4th-line minutes if he can be top power play 1st line in the A.
No, and that's old Rosie just isn't doing anything. But he can play on that 4th line. Like so to move him out to bring Coronado to put on the 4th line doesn't make any sense to me. So
now, if you have, knock on wood, an injury to a winger in the top 9, like let's say Sharangovich gets hurt and it's like, this is going to be 3-4 weeks. Well, that's the Coronado recall in my mind.
100%.
And people are seeing success and they're like, we want it now. And it's like, hey, if this kid wasn't a 1st rounder, let's just say he was an undrafted college free agent and there wasn't any hype about anything except that, he played college last year. It's like, no, Phil, you're having a great year at the A. Perfect. Let him cook. But 1st rounder and, maybe he won't sign. And there was a huge drama about getting him here. I feel like people are a little anxious. Like, what's happening right now is awesome. He's dominating the 2nd best league in the world. That's perfect. Let him keep feeling great.
Feel great. Do it down there. And the other thing that's changed is we were all clamoring for youth. And we thought this was the guy that was going to do it. And we got a couple other kids that came in and we're like,
where was Pospisil? Like 10th on the list of guys in a call up? Like,
he was he was a dream away from playing.
Yeah. And he looks the part. He's a legit shit disturber. And there's more guys like Klapka, I think, is something.
People have been talking about him.
Close. And he's huge. And it's not like he's tough, but he's big. And he might be the guy that takes a Ruzicka or a Dubé slot on this team.
Yeah. Rosie's doing nothing to solidify himself as an NHLer.
I don't think he's hurting anything, but just he's going to be there until they have someone better to put there.
He's going to pull a Dubé.
Yeah.
He's going to be
there. He's a placeholder right now.
Yes, he's a placeholder for someone better to come along and take the spot.
Okay, next question. Since we know we won't be rebuilding ever, would we try to make a deal for a natural shooter scorer? It's what this team lacks. I don't think they have a 30-goal scorer on the entire roster right now. And maybe Sharangovich stays hot or Coleman has an incredible year, but that's what they're missing. So whether you're rebuilding or not, you want to collect those types of guys.
Well, and so does everyone. So
totally. Yeah.
The only question I'd put to you is, I think you've referred to the Flames as Islanders Light or Islanders West. Yeah. does adding a scorer, obviously it's better than not having, but is 15 more goals going to make the difference where you need to change the makeup of the team? Do you know what I mean? Like, or do you just say, why would I give up an asset to get 15 more goals when we're going to win because Markstrom's good and we play hard defense?
Yeah, we play as a team. Yeah, totally. Like I think what you're saying, I agree with entirely, which is like, don't go give a second up for Anthony Duclair. Don't do it. But if Anthony Duclair is sitting out there on day 3 of free agency, it's like, hey, you put up some big numbers with Huberdeau before, like 1-year deal, come on in. Or it's like, hey, this young kid has been injured and it's buried on a deep cup contender. Like, go try to find the next Phil Forsberg, who got traded for Martin Erat. Like, you obviously can't hit a home run like that almost ever, but you absolutely have to be prioritizing finding guys that could beat goalies from distance, that could shoot the puck. They have more right shot defensemen than they do right shot forwards on this team. It's wild. And they're going to trade one of them in Lindholm probably this year. Like, they just don't have right shot scorers. That's anywhere you can find them, go get them, please, by all means. Next question. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go.
Should we have locked up Sharangovich longer term? Could have been a bargain. I mean, you'd love to get more term, but the guy's a UFA in 2 years. So the agent's going to say, yeah, we'll just sign for 3 or 4, but the price goes up because you're buying UFA years.
You can't always have a steal on a player. Sometimes a guy earns a contract and you just frickin' pay him. It is go ahead.
And he's certainly worth what he's making right now. I believe, have 1 more year, and I think Igor Sharangovich would understand the value of a good fit because he was one in Jersey and then he wasn't. And now he is a good fit here. So if you have to pay Sharangovich because he's really good, that's a great problem to have.
Yeah, deal with that problem. Like,
oh, shoot, we got this 30-goal guy we got to pay.
It's wonderful to look back and go, oh, we could have a steal. Yeah. Oh.
And the agents, they drive nice cars too. It's not just the GMs that make good money.
And not to, it's quite possible he gets an 8-year deal or 7-year deal and he kicks his feet up and goes, thanks. Right?
Yeah.
Like, there's all kinds of things that play into it.
$3.1 million this year for a guy that is probably a good bet to lead your team in scoring at the end of the season. That's not bad, especially given how little we knew about him.
Wow, it's not bad. And he kind of had. Don't forget the first month.
Yeah. Fourth line.
We were not talking this way.
No. And that's almost more impressive to me, Rhett, because it wasn't like he was airlifted into that top line. They tried it. It didn't work. They're like, nope. And it's almost like Huska and company built him back up from fourth liner up to the second line, now third. Now it's like, look, he's earned where he's at. He's not here just because he was traded for a guy that was really good. He's been a guy that's shown up and worked to the top line right wing slot.
Yeah, he's not there because he's supposed to be there.
No,
he's there because he's earned it now.
It was frustrating for 10 games though, saying, why is that guy not in the top 9? I see the tools. Are you not going to try it? But there's some method to the madness, I'm sure. The last couple coming up on an hour here. Do you feel it's important for players to want to play in Calgary? Markstrom, an obvious example, that coming from Randy, and I'm assuming Randy meaning that Markstrom does want to play in Calgary because he signed here as a free agent. And of course, the big Swedish contingent, friends with Elias Lindholm, blah, blah, blah.
I think it's hugely important for teams to have guys that want to play in your city. It's not everyone's always going to be in the same boat. And if you have success as a team, you can get guys to buy in.
Yeah.
But in general, yes, I think it is important for those guys to want to be in your town, to understand what the makeup of the town is, what drives the city and the fans and what they believe in and the lifestyle. I think they are important because if guys are sitting in that room and things aren't going well and they don't like where they are, it's very easy to become a disjointed group and everyone going in their own separate ways.
They've been really good since they moved Zadorov, and I'm not going to suggest that that's a huge pivot point for the team, but there was a guy that was vocal about not wanting to be here.
Yeah.
They got him out of there, and it's like, yeah, you have a lesser player in the 5-hole now playing on that blue line, but it hasn't hurt them in the sense that
you have
it's
not
a more
noticed
cohesive group.
You have not noticed Zadorov's absence. I would.
Yeah, I mean, you're missing this zebra that goes end to end sometimes and makes some crazy decisions and can rifle it and is physical and big. But I mean, it's the third pair hasn't killed them.
No, I don't think the team has been hindered because Zadorov's not here.
And I'll say one more thing about the city thing. Like, you can like a city and you can be miserable on a losing team, and you can be like, it's not my favorite city, but man, we are winning and I love this team. And I think we have a chance to do something special. And I think for a lot of players, yeah, you got to get paid. You have a small window to make your money, but winning is so huge. You don't get to this level, you know more than we do, if you don't burn to win. And I look at what Connor Hellebuck and Mark Scheifele did. I think they like other cities in the NHL more than they like Winnipeg, but I also think they looked around and thought, you know what, we could do something special here with this group, and winning is crucial.
Winning is all of it, because you're going to the rink and it smiles, and you don't win in the NHL if you don't have a room full of guys pulling on a rope together. Like, it's very hard. Of course you can, but to have real success and to have a group that goes to the rink, enjoys competing together, pulls on the rope together, whatever the terms you want to use to describe it, it's massive. It just, you lose and you hate everything about anywhere. The coaches take the fun out of it. The GM doesn't want you smiling and having fun, and you're competitive. You beat yourself up. These guys aren't here because it's easy. They're competitive and they want to win. So winning is first and foremost.
I just can't imagine, like, think about the night and day difference between like being a New York Jet this year or like a New York Ranger. Like, just it's the same city, but I know which team's having way more fun.
Exactly.
Right? Like, especially when you get into crazy markets like Vancouver or Toronto, and Montreal. Like, if you're losing, get me the fuck out of here.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Don't forget, it's the away from the rink stuff that matters.
Yeah.
So when the fans are all in, of course, you can go hide in Florida or some of these cities. But if you're playing in a city where they're passionate about their hockey and they know who you are, you don't want to walk around and be disappointing everyone. And then, come on, you got to do better. You know, it's miserable. You're hiding out in your house and it's just no good.
And the flip side of that, imagine if you were in Chicago between 2010 and 2015 when they won 3 cups. And it's like, man, I'll take $1 million less to hang around here. Whether you're like an Andrew Shaw or a Dustin Byfuglien or Versteeg or Ladd. Like, I'm thinking of some of those like secondary pieces, not the stars, but like, how much less would you take to be part of that?
Oh, it would be significant.
Yeah. So, I mean, cities, sure, but winning changes everything. We say it all the time. Best tonic. Okay, last one, Jack, if you've got it. Otherwise, we'll call it. I see this team having a lot of youth in the future, but I also think surrounding them with good vets is important. Bax, Kadri, Huberdeau, and Tanev. Who else do you think is a good veteran fit? Well, we talked about Coleman, and Tanev's tough because he needs a contract. At some point, Chris Tanev won't be playing hockey in the NHL anymore. I don't know when that is, but every year we get closer to that. You don't want to be handing him the last contract he's on in his career necessarily. I love that leadership. Like, you want to talk about someone playing the right way, Rhett, or showing up to work or laying it all on the line. That's all Chris Tanev. But you don't want to have the highest bid out of 32 offers for him, so to speak.
Yeah, you don't want to be left holding the bag. He's going to be. It sounds terrible, but he is limited, and he's limited in how much service time he's got left.
34. And the way he plays,
but
like,
there's lots of guys
34.
that you say there's lots of guys you say 34 and it doesn't mean nothing because they're still giving her, and it doesn't look like they've slowed down a bit. You say 34 about Tanev, and what's the next thing everyone says? And those are hard miles.
Hard miles.
Right? So there is a difference.
Yeah. But yeah, I think you've talked about it a bunch. You can't just say it's the Calgary Wranglers in the NHL. There's got to be some good pros.
And I don't know, like, I think the question had Huberdeau in there. I'm like, okay, I hadn't heard him being an example.
Yeah, I'm not there right now.
No. And I'm not saying he's bad at it. I don't know that he's ever been referred to as
a leader. And look, we talked all summer about captain candidates. Never did we mention
crickets when it comes. No.
That doesn't mean he's a bad guy. Just some guys lead and some guys, it's not everyone can do it. It's a very small number that can do it. And I think there was something nice last year with him and Pelche. You have hope that could exist in the future, but yeah, I don't know that I'd put him in the same group as the Coleman, Backlund. Even Kadri's sort of more that chip on the shoulder, me against the world type guy, but he is a good pro. Like, I don't know. Okay. Unless there's something crazy burning at you, Jack, we'll call it. Rhett, it's nearly midnight Eastern time.
Is it? Oh boy. Time for bed.
Time you get on a flight right now.
Okay. Can I just say something?
Yeah, fire.
You're a little bit better tonight than you were this afternoon.
Ugh. I should have just called it this morning.
I tried to tell you. I could tell right away.
You know what it is you're so busy. You're hosting, you're entertaining. It's holidays. I'll deal with that. And then you wake up and you're like, it's today. And I was playing Mario Kart till 3 a.m. and I'm hungover. I don't want to be doing this. And I'm not helping the team. I should just pull it.
Folks, I was texting him. I said, Pinder, shut your mic and camera off and get out of here. And I actually think Boom like to watch you.
He does enjoy in other people's struggling. It'll be Cammy and Boomer Thursday night, Nashville. And this weekend's getting sorted out. It sounds like it's Cammy and Pike on Saturday. And it'll be Pike and Kent Wilson on Sunday. That is your Afterburner lineup for the week as it stands. Rhett, thanks for being here tonight. Appreciate it. Hope the family's feeling a lot better, and we will talk tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Jack, as well. And buddies, we'll see you on the Barn Burner.